so before I begin, I just want to thank people again for subscribing to my channel. You're great. And if you've just stumbled across this video and you're discovering my channel for the first time, please do subscribe and check out my other videos. I would appreciate that immensely. And I will personally sacrifice a goat in your honor. So please do so. The goat is in my back garden. I can get to it immediately. So please subscribe and I will kill that goat. Okay, so the new Mandalorian episode has arrived, and yes, it was cool. This was the best episode. So yeah, I will also talk about Star Wars Celebration later on after the review, because I feel I should say something about it. It's relevant. So let us begin. So we finally see Moff Gideon. Giancarlo Esposito is such a great actor. He's fantastic in literally everything he's in. And we see him talking to the short-haired lady spy, and then we see him talking to a council of Imperials. One of them is called Hux. So obviously he's related to the Hux from the sequel trilogy. Probably his dad, his father. And actually I think the actor they got to play him is the brother of Dormhall Gleeson, so that's interesting. He did sound a lot like him. That's a nice little connection. They are definitely trying to obviously slowly bridge the gap there and connect everything, which I'm happy with. I know some people are annoyed that this show is trying to connect to the sequel trilogy, and I'm not a fan of the sequel trilogy myself, but there's nothing we can do about that, I'm afraid. But I like context. Giving us a little bit more context to why things are the way they are, so we can better understand the sequel trilogy a little bit more might help. I don't know. More on that later. So anyway, both factions of the Mandalorians join each other, and Grogu gets a new toy robot. Kind of reminded me of the Wrong Trousers from Wallace and Gromit. And yeah, they all go off to Mandalore, and they wanna establish a safe zone on the planet and eventually restore the planet back to its former glory. But then it all goes tits up. They get attacked by a big giant monster, and then they get ambushed by some Imperials, and shit hits the fan. Bo-Katan is like, this is not how I wanted the day to go. And Din gets captured. Moff Gideon does some evil monologuing, which is always good. He's wearing this badass Mandalorian suit. He looks cool. But then the big guy, who I forget his name, the big guy with the big gun, who's voiced by Jon Favreau, I believe, he sacrifices himself so the others can escape. He takes out a whole bunch of stormtroopers before some red guards show up, and they basically straight up murk him. They literally kill him to fuckery. So that was sad, but at least he went out like a badass. At least he didn't go out like a pussy. But yeah, it is quite sad because he has a son. He has a son, a little Mandalorian son. So yeah, you poor bastard. Yeah, that is quite sad actually. Anyway, it ends on a cliffhanger, and wow, this was so much better than last week's episode. I didn't mind last week's episode, but it was kind of a bit pointless. It was like a pointless side quest that didn't need to exist. And I did mention Jack Black in my last review, and it kind of took me out of the episode a bit. It was a bit random seeing him, but I didn't realize who his wife was. That was apparently someone called Lizzo, and I had no idea who Lizzo was, so I didn't really mention it. But I do know who Lizzo is now, which is unfortunate. So she's some sort of celebrity, famous for something, not sure what exactly. So yeah, anyway, I wish I could go back in time to when I didn't know who Lizzo was, but there you go. Anyway, I'm super excited for the final episode next week. This was a banger of an episode, and it's setting up a pretty cool final. I hope it delivers on the goods. I hope it's satisfying. I don't think Luke will show up now. I have a feeling they're not going to repeat the same thing in Mandalorian Season 2. When Luke shows up, I don't know if they'll repeat the same thing as that, but who knows? So, I'm just trying to control my expectations for the final, and I don't want to get my hopes up. I just hope we get a cool space battle, and I hope we see a nice showdown between Moff Gideon and Din Djarin and Bo-Katan, Those red guards were pretty cool though, so I'm excited to see some fights with them. Hopefully we get some fights with them. Anyway, the episode was good. It did not disappoint me at all, and it had an actor from Top Gun, actually, from Top Gun Maverick. I think he played Warlock, so that's cool. And yeah, The action and stuff was great. It looked great. It didn't disappoint me. You know, there was some good fighting. It wasn't all action though. There was a good bit of build up before the action. There was some good sort of, you know, good scenes where people are talking and dialogue and stuff. And yeah, it built to a cool little action scene at the end. So yeah, it was a good episode. So let's hope the final episode next week delivers. Anyway, let's talk about Star Wars Celebration for a bit. So I saw a bit of it, and I've watched Star Wars Celebration on the live streams before in the past. I've never been to one of them. And yeah, they are a bit cringe, to be honest. Like, the hosts are a little bit cringe, and the audience are a little bit cringe as well. They're wooing and cheering at everything like a bunch of clapping seals. Sorry if that offends anyone, but you know, sorry. But like, you know, some of the interviews are good, but you know, some are not. But personally, like when you've seen a bunch of interviews before with these same guests and things, they pretty much ask the exact same questions and you get the exact same answers. Like how many times can you ask the actor that plays the Emperor, so what's your favorite line? And then he says, I am the Senate, you know, like that. It's like, you know, it gets a bit dull after a while, you know? It's like, did you ever expect you would come back to Star Wars? Well, George Lucas cast me in 1982 as the Emperor, and then came back 20 years later, and then surprisingly I came back again. Oh, how many more times do we need to hear that? And you know, just all the same questions over and over again. Anthony Daniels, you know, gets up on the stage and talks about how great he is and how fantastic C-3PO is. And yeah, I like C-3PO, but he's not Jesus. I will say it is nice when you get some new people talking about new projects and stuff, and it's nice when like Hayden Christensen comes onto the stage and the crowd applauds him and he gets emotional. So, you know, I approve of that, because that man needs more praise and love, because people have been absolute dicks to him in the past. So yeah, you know, people have been absolute dicks to him in the past. So yeah, I think it's nice that he gets more appreciation for being Anakin, you know, for what he did, you know, all the crying and the emotion that he gave us in the prequels, you know, the scene where his mum died is heartbreaking. Like, you have got to be an absolute sociopath to watch that scene and be like, oh no, this is crap. Ugh. There is just a lot of filler crap in these events, you know, these big Star Wars celebration, you know, events, and which we just don't need. We just don't need any of this crap. You know, does it need to be 3 days as well? Like why? You know, just give us the announcements and then fuck off. Just tell us what movies are coming out and fuck off. Just tell us who's gonna be in the next Star Wars movie and fuck off. You know, who's the new director? All right, cool, that's great. Now fuck off. You know, oh, new game? Oh, brilliant. That's a great idea for a game. Now fuck off. Just fuck off. Give us what we want, but then fuck off. So anyway, sorry I went on a bit of a tangent there. So anyway, I got bored and decided to go and do something else with my time. And you know, because it is a bit tedious and a bit cringe, I went back and watched some of the best bits later when it's all finished. There usually is some good stuff to watch and get excited about and cheer and stuff, but you know, it's a little bit OTT sometimes, and it's like, you know, I love Star Wars, but I'm not like gay for Star Wars, you know, like, you know. I love it. I don't go over the top with it. But no, yeah, there are some good stuff. Like, they did show us the Ahsoka trailer, which actually looks pretty good. Like, it looks decent. It's got lots of lightsaber fights and Jedis and shit. Ray Stevenson looks cool. He looks like a badass. I'm a big fan of the show Rome that he was in years ago, and he's a great actor. I like him, so I'm excited for that, mainly for him. So that looked good, and they did show some other stuff. You know, like the video game looks cool. Star Wars Visions looks cool. Looks interesting. I like the different styles of animation. There were some other clips and trailers and stuff that they showed at the event, but you have to go to the event to see those. So you know, they were exclusive for the people who attended and paid the money for the ticket. To me, I just don't see the sense in that, in paying for that. But hey, there you go, you know. And of course, let's talk about the announcements that they made about the future movies. James Mangold is getting a movie about the first ever Jedi. I believe that's what it's about, so that's interesting. He described it as a sort of a biblical epic, but Star Wars. So that sounds cool. It sounds interesting. It could be a bit like Ben-Hur, but Star Wars, or Ten Commandments, but Star Wars, or Jesus Christ, Super Star Wars. So yeah, I can't wait for that project to get cancelled. It sounds interesting, but it's going to get cancelled. And the other one is a Dave Filoni film, which I actually think out of the 3 movies that they announced, it sounds the most promising, and it's I don't think it'll get cancelled, but it sounds good. It's sort of a culmination of the Mandalorian and all the spin-offs in that sort of time period, all sort of coming together to make a big movie that ends that story and that period between episode 6 and 7, and it takes us into the sequel trilogy era, which I know no one wants, but look, I said it before, if it gives more context and explains things, then it might make the sequel trilogy less shit. I don't know, you know, it might just be good as its own thing, you know, so you can ignore the sequel trilogy if you want. So that might be good. Dave Filoni, I think he understands Star Wars and he respects George Lucas, so that's cool. So the final movie announcement was another Rey movie taking place after episode 9 15 years later, which surprised me, to be honest. It surprised everyone, really. I don't think this is a good idea. I personally would have had episode 10 take place like 70 years in the future. You know, like 70 years in the future, Rey, Finn and Poe are long dead, but you've still got like a Chewbacca that's older, like with grey hairs and stuff. And of course you've got like C-3PO and R2-D2 and maybe BB-8 perhaps, you know, carry something over from the sequel trilogy perhaps, you know. Maybe Maz Kanata, because she lives for a long period of time. And of course, obviously, they all fly around in the Millennium Falcon with a bunch of new characters. You know, you could still have that, but it's 70 years in the future, and the Jedi are back and flourishing. There's loads of them all over the place. You know, the Jedi are restored and keeping the peace in the galaxy like they're supposed to. And, you know, you can have some references to previous movies, maybe. You could have a character called Dameron, who's a grandson of Poe, but for the most part it just ignores those movies and goes forward with a new villain, a new threat. No stormtroopers or Empire or First Order or whatever. Have a completely different enemy, maybe like a savage race of aliens that want to conquer the galaxy, and you know, they're green and tentacly or whatever, and you know, they're led by a Sith Lord who's very powerful, you know, not the Emperor. Don't bring back the Emperor again. Even though I do love the actor that plays the Emperor, and we all love the Emperor, but I don't think bringing him back for a 4th time in a new trilogy is a good idea. But yeah, I think this is a bad idea, to be fair. I'm open to watching the film and giving it a shot. Who knows? It might be really, really good. I doubt it, but you know, it might fix things. I don't know. Like, I doubt it, but maybe not. But you know, I like Daisy Ridley, and I think she's a good actress, and it's a shame how they wrote her character. It wasn't her fault. It wasn't her fault. I'm hearing rumors that Rey might be up the duff in this film, like preggers. Like bun in the oven. So that might make her character more interesting. I don't know. How did she get pregnant? Was it Ben Solo when he brought her back to life? Did he accidentally or purposefully impregnate her? Maybe, you know, with the Force. He manipulated her midichlorians, you know. He graped her with the Force. We'll have to wait and see. But as I say, I'm open to giving her another shot because I don't think it was all her fault. And you know, Daisy Ridley's nice. She's very pretty. She's cute. You know, she's beautiful. But yeah, I don't think this is a good idea. So anyway, let's wrap this shit up. I enjoyed the episode. It was a banger. It took me to my happy place. Happy. Very happy. Very happy. The season has been a bit up and down. It has been a bit inconsistent. I've noticed Din Djarin keeps getting captured in this season, and he always needs rescuing a lot. So what's the deal with that? Never mind. I think this season I'll rewatch. And I'll probably enjoy it more on a second viewing without having to wait every week. You know, when everything's out, it might be better viewed in a sort of a binge watch. And yeah, look, I'm intrigued about the 3 movies that they announced. I'm always cautiously optimistic about things, and I don't hate things immediately like some people. I'm not a hater. I give things a shot. You know, I'm a Star Wars fan. I always will be a Star Wars fan. So yeah, anyway, let's wait and see if these films get cancelled or not. So yeah, that's it. I'm going to go now. Subscribe to my channel, you beasts, and goodbye. Thank you.